I spent 12 days in Hunky City, and I want to tell you guys all about it. Hi guys, my name is Pajamakin, and welcome back to the Suifeno Dimension. And if you're new here, how's it going? Nice to meet you. So a new early prototype for Hunky City has been released, version 9 to be exact. This is actually one of my most highly anticipated games of the year, and I just couldn't wait to see what fun awaited me in Hunky City. If you want access to the prototype, be sure to join Mr. Ryu's Patreon, but without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so right off the bat, one of the first changes I noticed is the addition of an original soundtrack, which is very fitting to the game, being all upbeat and fun and stuff. So, day one, I arrived to the city after my former stepfather agrees to take me in after my mom gets sent to jail. While waiting for him on a bench, I meet a guy who's in the same situation as me, surprisingly. And his name is Chris. He's also waiting on his stepfather. And his stepdad Lorenzo picks him up, and finally my stepdad Louis arrives to take me to my new home. Upon meeting Louis, I only had to take a glance to see why my mom was all over that. And I guess my glance lasted a bit too long because it seems that Louis noticed that my eyes were wandering. Louis takes me to his apartment and is letting me stay in a spare bedroom. He buys me a new cell phone and hooks me up with a job at the local bar with the owner, Cole. Before I leave, Louis gives me $200 to help me get situated before I start working. And after that, I'm free to roam the city. I wander all the way to this building called Juan's Detective Agency. Now, you guys know that I love solving a good mystery, so I had to see what this was all about. I go into Juan's office and get immediately distracted by a titillating poster on the wall before I speak to the detective. Juan informs me that he specializes in finding lost animals, lost belongings, and cheating boyfriends. He offers me a part-time job working there, to which I agree because, like I said, I love solving mysteries. I take on the first case, which is from a guy named Trent who lost his cat named Diva. I go to question him at the jewelry shop he works at, and he informs me that he lost track of Diva while taking selfies at the park. And in fact, in one of the selfies, you can see her wandering off. I ask him, I'm like, bro, did you not see the cat walking away? And he just says that he was just too focused taking selfies. So I go to the park to investigate and I find a man named Sean. I ask him if he had seen a cat, and he says that not only did he see the cat, but he took the cat home and he was planning to take her back to the police the next day, but one day turned into 2 weeks apparently. Later, Sean and Trent meet at Juan's place where Trent is reunited with Diva, but not before Trent scolds Sean about not returning the cat. They get into an argument and Juan is looking at me asking me to intervene as if it's my office. I'm like, Juan, seriously, like, grow some balls. Luckily, I break it up by informing them that they are both at fault. Sean's big, sexy, tatted ass should have returned the cat when he found her, and Trent not only was too careless to let his cat wander off, but he should be glad that Sean is a decent dude and actually just took care of the cat. They settle their differences and Trent invites me and Juan to a party to celebrate. Juan doesn't really want to go, and the game shows me that my decision is a major point of disagreement. I believe that this means that the decision will heavily affect someone's affection towards me. I decide to go and I take Juan with me. I leave and grab a bite to eat. Before the party, I stop by the police station and I see a familiar face. See Dead Dating for more info. The time comes and I arrive to the party. I get on the rooftop and they tell me to get near the pool, I need to be in my swim trunks. And I'm like, I don't have any swim trunks. And they're like, well, you need to get in your underwear. So I strip down to my underwear and get in the pool. And oh my gosh, I guess Juan didn't need to grow any balls after all. I go to meet up with Trent and 2 of his friends, Siwan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Siwan and Jordan. Things go well until I let it slip that I don't know who Jordan is. He's supposedly supposed to be this big movie star. And Jordan himself didn't really seem too offended by that, but Trent and Siwan got very upset and scolded me. Ouch. I mean, I guess they're looking out for their friend, but dudes, chill. I just came to the city. I don't know who that is. After that awkward encounter, I returned home to see my stepdad sleeping in bed and saw that he had a pet snake sleeping with him. On day 2, I run into a rude construction worker named Carlos, who is looking for his son. I ask him to describe what he looks like, and he tells me that he's Latino, young, buff, and tan. and I ignore the fact that he described his son with the sexiest adjectives possible, and I just start my search. Shortly after, I spot him on the pier. His name is Ricardo, and he doesn't really want to go see his dad right now. So we both go to the arcade and play games instead. Later, I convince Ricardo to sit down with his dad and let him know how he feels, to which Ricardo agrees and returns home. After that, it's time for my first day working at the bar. I thought I arrived early, but it seems I came right on time as I caught Cole in the middle of putting his costume on. He shows me how to mix drinks, and my shift starts. By the way, this minigame gave me major anxiety, like I could not mix drinks in real life. After work, I find a guy drunk in the bathroom and offer him my help, but he gives me a tip instead. Later that night, I contemplate moving out since I don't want to mooch off Lewis too much, So I play on my cell phone and I find a gay dating app, but it's locked and I have to go to the store and have them unlock it. So on day 3, I go to the cell phone store and have the clerk unlock the adult content on my phone. I open the app and oh my goodness, there's Stepdaddy. Now, for some reason, our main character didn't catch on to the fact that Lewis was gay. I mean, we knew it, but he just didn't know that. So this was a shock to him. So he contemplates whether or not he should come out to Lewis. We get a call from Chris, who wants us to meet him in the park at 2 a.m. to see some secret merchant selling love potions. And I agree. I'm like, whatever. I stop by the housing agency and realize that I don't have nearly enough money to rent my own place right now. I meet back up with Carlos, who's happy to see me, and says that he and his son are doing much better. He said they talked and he didn't realize his son was so sensitive. He then offers me a part-time construction job, which I agree to. I decide to kill some time, so I go play a game at the arcade. Later, I return home and peep at my stepdad showering. He gets mad and he gives me a spanking, which we both secretly enjoy. Later, Lewis says that we should visit my mom in prison tomorrow, to which I reluctantly agree. It's 2 a.m. and I'm at the park with no sign of Chris. I call him, he says he completely forgot about the whole thing, so he's not showing up. So I decide to investigate on my own. I end up finding the mysterious merchant and I buy a love potion from him. This basically can give you a boost in relationships in certain situations. On day 4, Lewis and I go visit my mom in prison, where it's revealed that not only is she a vile human being, but she holds a grudge against Lewis because he's gay and wouldn't sleep with her when they were married. She shows blatant homophobia and even accuses Lewis of sleeping with me. Now, we haven't slept together, but you can best believe that when this full game releases, I am going to ride Lewis like a stolen car out of spite. In all seriousness, this is a pretty heavy moment and it shows that this game isn't just silly, it does deal with some hard topics. Back home, Lewis and I talk on the roof and he tells me about his life and how he met my mom. He only wanted her as a friend, but she pursued him heavily. He also has never had sex with a woman. He says that he didn't know that our character was gay, and I don't know how, the way we were just feasting on him in the car ride to his house the first day, but whatever. After our talk, the game lets us know that we can now date Lewis, but this mechanic is not in this build. Day 5, I wake up to Lewis in his underwear in the kitchen and he offers me breakfast, to which I can never turn down. I head to the gym and decide to try out a personal trainer who helps me stretch and stretches me out in more ways than one. I head back to Juan's place and have a chat, and he admits that the only kind of task he's good at is finding cheating boyfriends by flirting with them. To which I let him know he might be a bit too good looking and that everyone he flirts with might accept his advances. Before he was a detective, he was a professional model, but he didn't like the environment, although he still does shoots from here and there. He's hoping the detective job will make it so he can drop modeling completely. His other cases are building up and he hopes that can help him since he's just not a very good detective. That night on a stroll, I show up at the club and I see Chris giving a bouncer a hard time. The club is members only, and if you're not a member, you ain't getting it. I hop in and I tell Chris, chill dude, and we both leave. Chris tells me to meet him at the back door of the club at 5 p.m. tomorrow to sneak in, to which I reluctantly agree. On day 6, I start my job at the construction site by playing Tetris, and after work, I meet Chris at the club. I peep through the back door and see the bouncer's big, hairy, round bubble. And I must have gasped too loud because he noticed us and came to the door. Chris takes off like a bat out of hell and leaves me with the bouncer. Luckily, he's not too upset and even tells me how to get a membership. I have to get it from the adult store next door. I am, of course, keeping this info to myself and not telling Chris. Day 7, I go into the adult store and tell them that Hassan sent me, and they tell me the membership card is $1,000 in cash, so I'll have to raise some money. On the way home, I get mugged in the alley, and he only takes $100 from me. Day 8 starts with me getting hit by a car and waking up in the hospital on day 9. Later that night, I'm mugged again, and I try to fight back, but this guy knows martial arts, so I'm screwed. I didn't have enough money on me, so the bandit fondles me instead. I decide I'm going to learn martial arts, so on day 11, I head to the dojo, and the teacher is unfortunately not offering classes, and his star pupil has disappeared. I wonder if that's the guy who attacked me in the alley. The plot thickens. I finish things off by talking to the guy who says he can make my daydreams come true. It's basically a mechanic to unlock sexy what-if scenes with certain characters. So that's 12 days at Hunky City. There is so much more that you can do. I haven't even really scratched the surface. There's so many more scenes you can unlock just in this alpha. There's just so much to do, but that was only 12 days. One of the things I'm really liking about this game is surprisingly there are some characters that I really am kind of gravitating towards. Like for some reason, from my interactions, I'm really digging Juan and I'm really digging Hassan. They just both have this kind of goofiness to them. Like, I don't know, something about Juan not being good at his job and being just a little, not dim-witted, but just kind of goofy. I like that. And interactions with Hassan are a bit goofy as well. Like he seems like kind of kitschy in a way. When I went to the arcade to play games, that was an actual RPG game that I played. I like the Tetris game that you play at the construction site. Now I'm not too big a fan of the mixing game. It just gives me anxiety. But I am very excited to see this game. Let me know if you want to see me play more days in this alpha, and I will definitely be making more content on this game when it releases. So until next time, see you guys.